Jurassic Park may have taught us life finds a way, but for John Stark, movies found their way into shaping a career as one of the few blind critics on the scene. Here's part two of his interview. When it comes to your ability to see hundreds of films in a year, half a thousand every year, it seems, what is the thing that has you've been doing this for what, 26 years now? What do you love about movies? What keeps you coming back? What is it about being a critic that lights you up and that drives you so much?
I don't I don't know specifically. I think people are just born into certain things and born with certain things that we like or certain things that we are apt to doing and have talent for. There are other things that I like doing. I liked being on stage. I never had stage fright, so I had no problem acting. So I've done a lot of theater work, and that's what I do in my real life is I work with like music theater performers and musicians and stuff like that in the performing arts. So I'm like adjacent. But yeah, I always watched like film and cartoons and TV shows and stuff like that my whole life. And I think and I had an Entertainment Weekly subscription when I was, I don't know, like 9 or 10. Weird for
It's
somebody
the
that
coolest
young
thing ever.
to be requesting Entertainment Weekly, but it was one of my like first magazine subscriptions. And I was like really into movies, and around Jurassic Park is when I started. I use that as like my favorite film of all time because I think it influenced me a lot to start moving away from just little kid movies and start trying to look at more adult movies, movies for everybody instead of just the Disney cartoons. And I think when I started noticing other critics, man, critics used to be harsh on movies, and they would be harsh on movies that I liked and everybody I know liked, like Adam Sandler movies, like the early like '90s Adam Sandler movies, which now we look back on as like comedy classics. Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore were not exactly lighting it up with the critics. They didn't really get his brand of humor back then, but now people put those on rewatch frequently, and now they bemoan his newer content as being not as good as his beginning content. There are also plenty of examples of critics just not getting movies, like The Shining was not something that critics enjoyed back in the day. Now it's regarded as a film classic. And actually Rotten Tomatoes came about in the late 90s. And the great thing about Rotten Tomatoes was it was a site that aggregated critics together so that you could find so you weren't just trapped anymore to the one critic that you like if you lived in Chicago and you were not just limited to the Chicago critics. You could finally see what other critics liked, and maybe there was somebody who was a little bit more your speed and your style. And it's only grown as the internet created a whole bunch of blogs and websites and all these other people who loved film. Now we're able to bypass the traditional gatekeeping system that was created for them. And I was trying to do that too in the beginning. I've always been out there trying to put my reviews on, and websites that just don't exist anymore because they were on like free websites and they're just those just died. But eventually I pay for my own domain, and so that way I can keep everything that's on there. But yeah, in the beginning it was just a whole bunch of free websites that would just disappear. But it's it's just something that I wanted to tell people about the movies that I love, not come in and just trash movies. It wasn't that. It wasn't the, oh my God, these movies are terrible and I need to tell everybody these movies are terrible. I come at it from a positive angle, and I think I skew upwards a lot. I think I tend to like movies more. So I'm the kind of critic that's going to likely help you on the tomato meter more than not, especially if you actually meet my accessibility needs. Yes, I do. Some movies are just dreadful. They just are absolutely dreadful to sit through, and it's hard to escape those. But I have no problem giving, like I gave Happy Gilmore, the first one, like an 8.8 out of 10, and the fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes. I had no problem doing that because I love that movie and I think it's a classic. But for some people, they wouldn't do that because it's too artistic. Nowadays, we have YouTube, we have all these podcasts, and you can access whatever critic you think matches your style, except blind film critics. And so that's what I'm trying to do with the Blind Film Critics Society. I started out as like a unicorn, and then Alex and Lee started Darkroom podcast. what I want is for there to be more of us. And that way, if you don't like what I have to say, you actually have options. I'm not trying to be in here just to, I don't know, make $1 million from leaning on accessibility. I'm actually trying to propagate more of me, which is not great for me because right now I'm making a lot of headway for being the only one who's the furthest. But I think the better world is to share this with more people. Like, why isn't there a female critic? Why are we all dudes? Can we get maybe like a blind and black perspective? Can we get somebody who we're all they're a little bit younger than me, but we're all relatively close in the same generation? Is there anybody older who wants to talk about films from back in the day, classic films from before? So all these different perspectives that sighted people have because they can click on a horror movie podcast or sci-fi movie podcast. They can go to a YouTuber that focuses on this specific thing, or if they don't like what this person has to say, there are 500 more people saying the exact same thing, but just differently. And so you can figure out what it is that you like. I want that for us. I want that's what I want from the Blind Film Critics Society is to propagate more
Hmm.
because that's what Rotten Tomatoes was in the beginning. Is that it gave sighted people the opportunity to find more opinions other than maybe just the one that they saw all the time. So I think that's a really long way for answering the question that I got, but I think I got there.
You did. And with the propagation that you're talking about, there's power in that. That
Absolutely.
when you are not the unicorn, you are among many. And as more, you've paved a way for more film critics. And I love that you keep going back to, I am a film critic, that it doesn't negate nor erase your disability, but it doesn't say, I only do disability, that this is a part of you and it's a very important part. And it's not going to be the, what am I trying to say? Like the token or the pawn that you are a full fledged film critic and you also know this industry inside and out from pre Jurassic era.
Yeah.
Can we call that to, we're talking a quarter of a century of experiences and all the content that you've put out there. You answered the question about the motivation of why you love film. What I'm wondering about is the end game in your dream scenario, that things go the way you want them to, this propagation of more film critics, of different perspectives within blind film critics, the work that everyone is doing with Lee and Alex and yourself in getting audio description known, but also getting, hey, this is our experience of film. That is the bigger story here. What's the end game? Where in your dream world, you want to say 1 year, you want to say 5 years? Where are things headed if you had everything that you wanted?
Wow. 1 year from now, it would just be nicer to have more people in Blind Film Critics Society. It would be great if Alex or Lee got into any critics organization so that way we're starting to grow our numbers because they have there are a lot of location based ones, so they have ones that are open to them because they live in LA that I can't apply for. So there are ones that they we wouldn't even overlap. It's literally just spreading, so they could apply for LA Film and yeah, spreading it out more, getting more people involved. I think that's there's not a whole lot of major shifting that's going to happen in a year, especially with things the way they are now. I don't think when we suddenly made diversity, equity, inclusivity bad words that we're going to make huge strides in accessibility. We're having some benefit from some stuff that's happening with the European Union in terms of audio description, but there are still plenty of cases. Just the fact that we have such a hard problem getting audio description to transfer from streaming service to streaming service shows you that just simply because the European Union is asking you to create audio description doesn't necessarily mean it will actually be used here. I would love to continue to push more and more streaming services to have a higher percentage of their library that's accessible. Whatever percentage everybody is at now should be doubled in 5 years. I don't care what your percentage is, double it. And that's the bare minimum because I realized the long-term goal would be 100%. It would be amazing. But I think the only way we're going to ever get that is through TTS. And if we push TTS too quickly in the beginning, they'll just go to it. And then narrators will be gone. They'll only be used occasionally for really major projects like a Star Wars film or Avatar, but like a whole bunch of stuff that is as big, all of the sort of like middle to small stuff, all the indie films and everything, they'll just start using PBS. But I would love for that. We have some streaming services that are starting to join the real world. Crunchyroll is starting to put some audio description out there. That's a big streaming service that's been around for a while. I would love for Stars, because Stars has existed forever as an entity. They have no audio description, but yet they pick up a lot of Lionsgate movies that do have audio description. So it's just weird. Same thing with AMC Plus. I would love for AMC Plus. They have the ability. I had an AMC Plus subscription a while ago, and they had 5 things that had audio description, and they never expanded beyond that. And they have all these films that IFC creates with audio description for theatrical release. Plus, they get library titles that have it. So it just makes sense. Some of these people, it's just laziness. That's all it is. It's just apathy. So I'd love to be able to reach people who already have, who all it is, they just have to have some guy who reaches out and says, can I have this track? Can I have this track? Can I have this track? And suddenly you have an accessible streaming service. And if all the other streaming platforms did a better job, I know Hulu is being absorbed into Disney Plus. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for the library content when they pick it up, but Disney has to pick up that slack, because there are plenty of titles currently on Hulu that don't have audio description on Hulu, but do have existing audio description. A Nice Indian Boy is new on the service, and Last Showgirl. Those movies have audio description tracks. They're just not on there. So love to fix that. That would be great. I'd love for there to be maybe a couple more people doing what I do. I don't expect 100 people in 1 or 5 years, 100 blind film critics. I think part of the reason why we have to do it is one of the reasons I started doing all this in the beginning is I remember I was looking for a DVD. I didn't know anything about accessibility. I was looking for DVD Blu-ray to see if there was one that was in existence that had a screen reader. And I ended up using my Xbox because it has a narrator on it. But I saw in the comments on the thing that it said that why would blind people watch movies? It was like in the comments. Like there was somebody who had asked that question. It was in like a home theater forum. And the first answer was, why would somebody need, why would blind people be watching movies? We have to change that narrative. I think as blind and low vision people, at certain points in our life, we've all reached that point where somebody's always, why do you do that? I don't understand. What could you possibly enjoy out of whatever this is? Or you couldn't possibly be good at that. Or how could you know the answer to that? It's like somehow inherently, because we have a disability or acquired a disability, we're somehow dumb or stupid or incapable. And by jumping in and talking about film from a critical standpoint and trying to talk about the film itself while also acknowledging the accessibility that we need, I think is the route to go. Because it's like saying, we can have the same conversation that you can have. I can jump into any debate with any film critic if they invite me on their podcast or show or whatever, and we can talk about directors and films and periods and genres. And so can Alex, and so can Lee, and so can a lot of other people, because they watch movies and television shows, and maybe they're not ready to talk about it, but hopefully one day they will. And then the world will know there's this whole swarm of people who they just need the accessibility to do it. We have to close the gap. I think that's a realistic goal. I think the dream goal is audio description on everything. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. And especially in our current political climate, I think it's just unrealistic. So we have to change a lot of things before we move in a 100% audio description future. But
Thanks for sharing. It's a really clear perspective. And I think you nailed the nuance and the approach. And it's going to be really exciting to follow you in the Blind Film Critics Society, along with tomato meters and everything else that as you continue to support your love of film and make sure that it's being held to the standard that it can be. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to share?
No, I think that's everything. Just I would like to encourage people to use the ADNA so that I don't keep typing in titles that aren't there. I feel bad posting in that Facebook group for audio description for every single film. I need this information. Does anybody exist? I did it for She Rides Shotgun. Nobody ever answered me. I was like, does anybody want to claim this track? And it was like crickets. I was like, okay, this helps me not. So I know not everybody's in there. And like I said, there are some audio description companies that just don't seem to want to mess with me. I get it. At some point, I'm going to give you a negative review. If you're a company, if you are an individual, if something, I'm either going to give you some sort of negative feedback or your company or a film that you did. And I know that can be disheartening to be somebody who even did maybe a great audio description track, but the film sucks. It's like, you can't help that. But it's a weird thing for critics to be friends with the people that they're criticizing. I get that, which is why critics are not necessarily friends with a whole bunch of actors and actresses. But it is a very symbiotic relationship, and a lot of entertainment journalists do maintain these incredible sort of solid, it's not quite like a friendship. It's just, but like they know these people, they recognize these people. Celebrities are good at like recognizing some of the top journalists, and they're like, oh, I've seen you before. And because at the end of the day, those people are there to promote that product. They're there to try to help you sell the thing that you're trying to sell. So it's like a symbiotic relationship, and it may not always work out, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
intentionally trying to screw everybody over. If I give you a lot of negative reviews, I really just want you to be better. I want to, and you can always have a conversation. Call me out, email me, put a comment. Let's have a conversation. Tell me your side of it and explain to me why you think I'm wrong. I don't, I've made like almost no money from this. I'm not monetized at all. I've been given some slight opportunities to earn what if it was the only income I had, I would be dead by now. The amount that I would not have even been able to pay like an electric bill. So my channel, and these are things that you can look up. There are no ads on my website, so there's no way I can monetize that. My website is ad free, and my YouTube channel is below 1,000, so I cannot be monetized. So if you think that I'm lying, you can actually look at it. These are verifiable facts. I am not. I'm
Well,
not here to try to do this. I'm here for us, for accessibility and audio description, and I want to make it better, and I want to make more of it. So help
and
me
as
help
you
you.
build your credibility there with all of these opportunities, that your voice does get louder in a way that is not screaming. It's getting things done for, I'm going to say, the greater good.
Yeah,
That this is the pivot that, gosh, I've only been in audio description for 10 years, and it's been fascinating to see how that change of what quality means can be accomplished. And I think your words in the reviews can help and are helping, not can, but will and do. It's like historically shown that I've seen quotes from your blog posts and your website that have been used to impact what quality can mean. So thank you for all the work that you're doing and for building that credibility, because that voice of yours is valuable.
and thank you for continuing to highlight audio description people with this podcast. This is my third time being on here. I is there if I get to five, is it like Saturday Night Live? Do I get a jacket? Is there like a five
We're
timers
working on
club?
that. We can talk about monetization because I think we've got some. I've started doing some ads just to play with it, just to be able to pay like the basic
I'm
stuff.
joking. I
As
don't need to be paid to be on the podcast. I just didn't know if there was like a five timers club like Saturday Night
we
Live.
should do like a five timers like panel. I think that'd be
Yeah.
fun, and maybe get, I don't know. We could coordinate with Bold Blind Beauty. They've been doing some really good merchandising, so I don't know. There's some symbiotic stuff happening there too.
Cool.
Thank you for this. How can we follow you? Social media, website, tomato meters,
I would
etc.
prefer The best ways to follow me would be there's a way to even subscribe to where it notifies you on my website. My website is macthemovieguy.com. You can go there. That is what is officially recognized through Rotten Tomatoes. I would love more subscribers to my YouTube channel. I'm not. I'm not gonna lie. I would love more subscribers to my YouTube channel. Also, because Rotten Tomatoes won't add my YouTube channel until I get 20,000 subscribers, so I can't match. I can't use my YouTube videos on Rotten Tomatoes, which is easier until, and I'm at like 500, so I have a long way to go. So every little bit helps. Yes, I realize 20,000 would mean that I'm monetized. I'm not trying to do it for the money. I have certain baseline limits that I need for other purposes. Like,
What is the YouTube?
it's youtube.com/ Mac the Movie Guy, or
Mac
slash Mac
the
the Movie
movie
Guy.
guy. It's Mac the movie guy.
And I am on X. I am on Threads. I don't do much on there. I hate being on X. I literally just share to X and send it off to the world. So it's a link of, I try not to post on X as much as possible. I don't really use my Instagram, but I am on Instagram. And if you're interested in looking me up on Rotten Tomatoes, it is rottentomatoes.com/critics/John-Stark-1. Believe it or not, there's another John Stark that's on Rotten Tomatoes. He works for a
Great.
magazine in San Francisco. So they had to put a one
Amazing.
after me.
Oh, thank you so much for being a part of this, John. It's great to talk with you and hear your approach and what you're doing and what is going to be coming up. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.